Hi, I am SSM. I have 27 years of pharma industry experience. In today's discussion, I will talk about pharma patents and marketing exclusivities. This slide shows you the journey of a medicine starting from discovery phase to preclinical testing, clinical testing, new drug application filing in the form of NDA, NDA approval, generic competition, and so on. So journey starts with the discovery phase wherein the pharma company synthesizes the product, does various testing with the new product, synthesis, quality testing, other testings, and this discovery phase takes around 4.5 years. And within this discovery phase, after first 2.5 years, the company also starts the preclinical testing in animals and generate preclinical data. After this, the company will submit the preclinical data, quality data, and other data generated by company in the form of investigational new drug application to US FDA. US FDA will approve investigational new drug or IND if it is approvable. If there are objections, they will be communicated to the pharma company. Then pharma company starts with the phase 1 clinical trial in healthy volunteers, which is done in about 20 to 80 healthy volunteers to determine the safety and initial doses for the product. Sometimes phase 1 is also called dose determining study. After phase 1, the company starts with phase 2, which is done in patients, not in healthy volunteers, in about 100 to 300 patients, to look for the efficacy and side effects. After phase 2, company starts with the phase 3, which is done in about 1000 to 5000 patients, and phase 3 studies basically they monitor the long-term adverse events and also confirm the efficacy which was initially determined in phase 2 trials. After completing all phase 1, 2 and 3, pharma company submits the new drug application or NDA with FDA. FDA, after accepting the application, will review the application and will approve the new drug application if it is approvable with all required data, if it is available in the dossier. With NDA approval, FDA may ask for post-marketing testing, which is also called post-marketing surveillance or phase 4 studies, in which the FDA may ask for long-term safety monitoring for the product in large number of patients. As you know, the clinical trial in phase 1, 2 and 3, there are limited number of patients in healthy volunteer which were exposed to the drug, but now after approval it will be used in large population, so there may be many undetectable side effects which were not reported in phase 1, 2 and 3 trials. So FDA will ask for the post-marketing surveillance studies to monitor for the drug safety. So this whole process, the timeline is given here. Discovery phase takes around 4.5 years. Clinical phase start at 2.5 years and it will run till 6.5 years. Then phase 1, 2 and 3 study, they will may last up to 12 to 14 years. And there is FDA review period also, which may vary depending on the complexity of the product. It may take around maybe 1 to 2 years. During this whole journey, the Pharma company also starts with the patent application filing, which happens at around 2 and 2.5 years, when they are sure that they have the product, they have the application for the product, they will file the patent application. Simultaneously, they will also file the foreign patent application, and if patent is grantable, it will be granted. The patent term after grant will be 20 years from date of filing of application, and this 20-year patent term can be further extended in the form of either Hatch-Waxman extension or patent term restoration. Hatch-Waxman extension happens if there is a delay in regulatory approval by US FDA, and which is maximum up to 5 years, and this Hatch-Waxman extension, if granted, will be added to the 20 years term. So suppose if there is a extension of 4 years, so the patent term will become 20 plus 4 years, 24 years. And second type of extension is patent term restoration. It happens when there is a delay in grant of patent by US Patent Office, which is also possible to extend up to maximum up to 5 years. If there is a delay in grant of patent by patent office of more than 3 years from date of filing, that means if patent is not granted within 3 years of patent filing, then pharma company can file for patent term restoration. So this patent term restoration is also maximum up to 5 years, and it will also be added to the 20 years term. So this 20-year term may be extended either by Hatch-Waxman extension or by patent term restoration, which will be added to the 20 years, and they will run simultaneously, both extension as well as restoration. If extension is for 4 years, it will be added to 20 years, 20 plus 4 years. Suppose the restoration term is for 3 years, so it will be added to 20 plus 3, 23 years. So it is not that all they are additive, they are separately added to the 20 years. So the Hatch-Waxman extension, if it becomes 24 year, and restoration extension become 23 years, so the patent will ultimately expire in 24 years. Now the generic competition will start only after expiry of this patent term of 20 years plus any extension or restoration if granted. So generic product can be launched only after expiry of the patent term and any extension granted. But the development of generic product by generic company will start well before expiry of the patent term and any extension, because the development of the generic product takes time. The generic company has to synthesize the product, they have to develop the formulation, they have to do the stability studies, quality studies, and they have to generate the whole data. They have to do the bioequivalence or bioavailability studies. So the whole data is to be generated by company, and it takes time. And the company, they are ready with the data before expiry of the patent term, and they will file before expiry of the patent term, but the generic product will be approved by US FDA only after expiry of patent term plus any extension if granted. So generic product will be approved by FDA after reviewing the generic application, which is also called abbreviated new drug application. So generic company will file abbreviated new drug application with FDA, and FDA will approve if it is approvable, and in this way the generic product will be marketed. Now this slide shows you the two types of marketing exclusivities. One is patent term patent protection in form of patent term, and second is regulatory exclusivity. So patent, if granted, it will have 20 years term from date of filing of patent application. As I said earlier, it can be extended in the form of either patent term adjustment if there is a delay in grant of patent by US Patent Office, and in the form of Hatch-Waxman extension if there is a delay in grant of regulatory approval by US FDA. And there is another exclusivity, add-on exclusivity, the pediatric extension. If the generic company submits the data on pediatrics use, then FDA may grant for 6-month extension, and this 6-month pediatric exclusivity is add-on exclusivity. It will be added to 20-year of patent term. It will become 20 years and 6 months. Second type of exclusivity is regulatory exclusivity. So there are different regulatory exclusivities. The first is NCE, or New Chemical Entity Exclusivity, which is for 5 years. Any new chemical entity approved for the first time in the US is eligible for 5-year NCE exclusivity. Second is new clinical study or new data, clinical data exclusivity, or also new indication exclusivity. If the pharma company submits the new clinical data maybe for new indication, and if it is approved for that indication, then it is eligible for 3 years of new clinical study or new indication exclusivity. Next is orphan drug exclusivity. Orphan drug is a drug which is used for orphan or rare diseases. Orphan or rare diseases are the disease in a very small population. There are a very small number of patients with that disease, and in US there is a definition for that. If there are less than 2 lakh or 200,000 patients in whole US for a particular disease, then that will be called as orphan or a rare disease. And if a company generates data for that rare disease or orphan disease indication and it is approved by FDA, then it is eligible for 7-year orphan or rare disease exclusivity. Next is pediatric exclusivity or extension. As I said earlier, if the company perform the clinical studies in pediatric patients, then FDA may grant for 6-month exclusivity, which will be added to all these exclusivities. So if pediatric extension is granted, then NC exclusivity will become 5 years and 6 months. New clinical indication exclusivity will become 3 years and 6 months. Orphan drug exclusivity will become 7 years and 6 months. So these patent term and regulatory exclusivities, these are separate, independent of each other. Even if there is no patent for a product, the product is eligible for NCE exclusivity if it is first time approved in USA. It will also be eligible for new clinical indication exclusivity of 3 years and orphan drug exclusivity for 7 years, even if there is no patent. So the patent term starts from date of filing of patent application. The regulatory exclusivities start from date of regulatory approval of the product by US FDA. So these are separate, the terms are different, their starting times are different. So a generic can be launched in market only when both the patent protection and regulatory exclusivities all have expired. Next is a difference in patent and regulatory exclusivities. Patent protection is governed by country patent office. It is granted by patent office, and patent is an exclusive right granted by government of that country to an inventor or company to exclude others from making, using, selling, offering for sale, or importing the patented invention or product. While the regulatory exclusivity is granted by country's regulatory bodies, US FDA in this case. So these regulatory exclusivities are exclusive rights to a pharmaceutical product to restrict the generic competition to use or rely on the safety and efficacy data filed by innovator company in order to obtain the data for in order to obtain the approval for generic product. So a generic company cannot use the innovator's clinical data, efficacy and safety data till the expiry of the regulatory exclusivity. Patents are granted by Patent and Trademark Office anywhere along with the development timeline of product and can have different range of claims in the patent. And the scope of the patent depends on the scope of the claim. Scope of protection depends on the scope of the claim in a patent. We'll talk about the patent in detail in next section. In other discussion, brand company must list their patents in Orange Book. This Orange Book is a database. When innovator company files for new drug application, and if it is approved by US FDA, then US FDA will ask the innovator or brand pharma company to list all patents related to that product in this Orange Book database along with their expiries. So when any generic company files for generic application approval in the form of abbreviated new drug application, then generic company must address all the patents listed in the Orange Book database. That means if there are listed patents in the Orange Book related to a product, US FDA will not approve the generic product till all the listed patents in the Orange Book have expired. So generic company will have to file an undertaking when they are filing the generic application that they are either no patent listed in the Orange Book related to that product, or all the patent listed on Orange Book related to that product have expired, or maybe they are not infringing any of the patent listed in the Orange Book related to that product. So based on that listing, the generic company files a generic application either in the form of paragraph 1 application, paragraph 2 application, paragraph 3 application, or paragraph 4 application, which are called para 1, 2, 3 or 4 application. We'll talk about this topic separately. Then the next exclusivity is the exclusive marketing rights granted by FDA upon approval of a drug, and that can run concurrently with the patent, as I explained earlier. Patent terms start from date of filing of patent, and regulatory exclusivity starts from date of regulatory approval of product by US FDA. Patents and exclusivity works in similar fashion but are distinctly different from one another, as you've seen in the slide. So for this discussion, that's all. We'll take another topic in the next discussion. Thank you very much.